The colony ship Aurora's Flame drifted through deep space, carrying humans and alien allies on a long journey to a new world. The ship was huge, like a floating city, filled with different species from across the galaxy. Among the crew was Ethan, a young human technician. He was smart, kind, but curious, sometimes too curious for his own good. He had been assigned to repair a damaged part of the ship's lower decks, a quiet section where few went. One day, while checking power lines, Ethan heard strange sounds from a nearby chamber. The door was half open, steam hissing softly. The scanner showed no warning, so he peeked inside, and then he saw her. A tall, slender alien woman stood under a spray of cleansing mist. Her skin was smooth and silver blue, glowing faintly under the lights. Long strands of white hair flowed down her back. She was bare, no clothes, no armor, completely exposed. Ethan's eyes went wide. He quickly turned to leave, heart pounding, realizing he had accidentally walked into some kind of private alien bathing ritual. But before he could escape, the woman turned and saw him. Their eyes locked. She froze. Her glowing eyes stared at him, then darkened with fury. "Human, you have seen me in my unclad form," she shouted. Ethan raised his hands. "I am sorry. I didn't know the door was open. I swear it was a mistake." But it was too late. In her culture, being seen bare was a sacred dishonor unless the one who saw was a bonded mate. The alien woman stepped forward, eyes burning with both anger and alarm. "You must come with me now." Ethan stumbled back, but she was faster. She grabbed his arm with surprising strength. "You have seen too much. If my people find out, I'll be shamed, and you'll be executed." "Executed? Wait. I didn't mean to." She pulled him down a hidden corridor, her grip firm. "Silence, human. You must marry me." Ethan almost tripped. "Wait. What? Marry you? I don't even know your name." She paused, her expression serious and proud. "I am Talira of the Valkyrie, daughter of the Warlord of Stars. I cannot allow dishonor to stain my bloodline. You saw me bare, so by my culture's law, you are to be my mate." Ethan's mind spun. A moment ago, he was fixing wires. Now, he was being told he had to marry an alien warrior princess or die. "But I'm just a technician. I don't even know your customs." Talira's eyes softened slightly. "It does not matter. The law is clear. Either we bond, or both of us face punishment." "Both of us?" Ethan asked. "Yes. If my people learn a stranger saw me bare and I did not kill him or bond with him, I will be cast out. I will lose everything." She looked away, her pride wounded. Ethan could see her struggle. She wasn't happy about this either. But the law was the law. Okay. What does bonding mean exactly? Is it like a human marriage? Talira looked at him carefully. Similar, a sacred joining, a ritual that marks two souls as one. It is binding, forever. There is no undoing it. That made Ethan pause. "Forever, huh?" She nodded. He sighed. "Do I have a choice?" Talira stared into his eyes. "If you refuse, I will have no choice but to kill you. The law demands it." Ethan gulped. "I guess marriage it is." Talira tilted her head, studying him. "Strange human, you agree to easily." Ethan chuckled nervously. "It's that or die, right? Plus, you're not bad looking for an alien." Talira blinked, then let out a small, surprised laugh. "You are bold, human." She led him deeper into the ship, where few ever went. Hidden chambers filled with glowing crystals and alien symbols surrounded them. In the center was a small shrine. "This is the bonding circle," Talira said. "Here, we will seal the ritual." Ethan stepped closer, heart pounding. "Are you sure? Once we do this, I'm your husband. Forever." Talira's eyes glowed softly. "Yes, and you will share in my clan's honor." "And their enemies?" "Enemies?" Ethan asked. Talira didn't answer. She knelt before the shrine, whispering in her language. Energy filled the room, and the air grew warmer. "Kneel, human. Speak your name." Ethan did as told. "I'm Ethan." "Ethan Graves." Talira nodded. "Then by the law of my bloodline, by the stars that guide us, we are now bound." A soft light wrapped around them both, a strange warmth that seeped into Ethan's skin. He felt a connection, like a distant hum in his chest. It was done. Ethan Graves, human technician, was now married to an alien warrior princess. But before he could even process it, alarms rang across the ship, red lights flashed, an announcement echoed. Warning, unknown vessels approaching. Prepare for possible hostile contact. Talira stood quickly, her eyes serious. It begins. She whispered. What begins? Ethan asked, confused. She looked at him, her voice grave. My enemies, they've found me, and now that you're my mate, they'll come for you too. Ethan's mouth dropped open. Wait. What? Ethan stood frozen as the alarms echoed through the ship. He had just become the bonded mate of Talira, an alien warrior princess, and now someone was attacking. His mind raced, struggling to process everything. A few minutes ago, he was an unnoticed technician. Now, he was married to an alien and about to be hunted by her enemies. Talira grabbed his arm and pulled him swiftly through the corridors. We must reach the command deck, she said sharply, her voice calm but firm. They will come for us. They always do. Ethan struggled to keep up, his heart pounding. Who's coming? He asked, panting. Talira's glowing eyes narrowed. The Khazar Syndicate, my family's oldest enemy. They have wanted me dead since I refused to marry their prince. Now that I am bonded to you, they will destroy this ship to kill us both. Ethan blinked, his steps faltering. You're telling me I married you to save my life, and now it's putting me in more danger? Talira glanced back, her expression unreadable. Yes, that is correct. They reached the command deck where chaos had already taken over. Officers, both human and alien, scrambled to prepare defenses. On the large viewing screen, several hostile ships approached dark, sharp vessels that looked like predators in space. The ship's captain, an older human named Captain Rowan, noticed Talira and Ethan. Princess Talira, he greeted grimly. I assume you know who they are. Talira nodded. The Khazar. They have tracked me here. Captain Rowan's eyes shifted to Ethan. And who's this? Talira's voice was steady. My bonded mate. He's under my protection. The captain's eyes widened in shock, but he said nothing. He didn't have time to argue. Then, both of you better stay alive. They won't negotiate. Rowan muttered before barking orders to his crew. Suddenly, the ship shook as the first enemy shots struck the hull. Ethan stumbled, but Talira caught him. You need protection, she said quickly. She pressed a device into his hand. It was a small metallic band. Wear this on your wrist. It will generate a shield around you in case of direct attacks. Ethan slid it on, feeling the device. Activate with a soft hum. Thanks, he muttered. Still confused by how fast everything was happening, Talira drew her weapon a sleek, curved blade glowing faintly blue. Stay close to me, husband, she added. Ethan's heart skipped, hearing her call him that, though the situation was far too dangerous for romantic thoughts. The enemy breached the ship within minutes. The Khazar warriors stormed the hallways, tall, armored. With reptilian faces and burning yellow eyes, they fought without mercy, tearing through any defense. Talira moved like a storm, slicing down attackers with elegance and fury. Ethan followed, firing a plasma pistol one of the soldiers had tossed to him. He had never used a weapon in real combat before, but adrenaline drove him forward. You fight well for a technician, Talira said with a hint of amusement. I don't want to die, Ethan replied, shooting another enemy clumsily. As they fought deeper into the ship, Ethan noticed something odd. The Khazar weren't just attacking random targets, they were pushing specifically towards him. And Talira. They're after us, he realized aloud. Talira nodded grimly. They want to kill me. But killing my bonded mate will disgrace my bloodline even worse. It's a message to my father. A personal insult. Ethan groaned. I really should have stayed home. They reached the central reactor chamber, a strategic spot the enemy wanted to control. There, waiting for them, was a massive Khazar warlord clad in black armor. His deep voice echoed through the chamber. Talira of the Valkyrie, and the human who dares bond with her. How pathetic. Talira stood firm, blade ready. You will not touch him, she declared. The warlord laughed cruelly. I will rip him apart in front of you. Then your shame will be complete. Without warning, the warlord charged. Talira met him head-on, their weapons clashing with deafening strikes. Ethan wanted to help, but he knew he was no match for such a warrior. Still, He searched the room and spotted a control panel connected to the reactor. An idea sparked in his mind. If he couldn't fight, maybe he could outsmart them. While Talira and the warlord dueled, Ethan sprinted to the panel, dodging stray blasts. He accessed the controls, fingers moving fast despite the pressure. "Come on, there has to be something," he whispered. Then he found it a defense override. He reactivated the ship's internal turrets across the chamber. Hidden weapons popped out and fired at the Khazar soldiers, cutting them down rapidly. The warlord roared in frustration, distracted for a split second, just enough time for Talira to strike. She stabbed deep into his side, her blade glowing with energy, and with a final push, she brought the warlord down. The chamber fell silent, save for Ethan's heavy breathing. Talira approached. Ethan, her blade still stained with dark blood. She placed a hand on his shoulder. "You did well. Husband, I am impressed." Days passed since the battle on the Aurora's flame, but peace was only temporary deep in space. Aboard a massive shadowy warship, Varrock, the defeated Khazar prince, stood before his war council. His pride burned with humiliation, and his anger was hotter than ever. He replayed the scene over and over in his mind, Talira choosing a human over him. The shame of being spared by Ethan, a mere technician. His honor had been stained, and Khazar pride demanded blood to cleanse it. The warlords around him waited in silence until Varrock spoke. "We strike again," he said coldly. "But this time, we do not just attack the ship, we capture the human." One warlord, older and covered in battle scars, raised an eyebrow. "Why not kill him outright?" Varrock's red eyes glowed with dark amusement. "Because death is mercy. I want the human to suffer. I want Talira to see her mate broken. Only then will she understand what her defiance has cost." The war council nodded. Plans were made. Varrock ordered his best hunters to prepare for a precision raid, one that would infiltrate the Aurora's flames silently and take Ethan alive. Meanwhile, on the colony ship, Ethan tried to adapt to his strange new life. He was no longer just a technician, he was Talira's bonded mate, and that came with unexpected attention. Aliens who once ignored him now stared with curiosity or even respect. Though some whispered behind his back, some envied him, others doubted him. But none dared insult him to his face, not when Talira stood protectively nearby. She had trained Ethan every day, teaching him to fight, to defend himself. Even if only a little, she was patient, but strict. "You are my mate," she told him one evening as they trained with practice weapons. "You must be strong, because my enemies will come for you first. They think humans are weak. We must prove them wrong." Ethan tried his best. He wasn't a warrior, but he was clever. He learned how to fight smart, using the environment, his tools, and his mind. Yet deep down, he knew if Varrock came again, it might not be enough. He would need more than strength, he would need courage. Then one night, as the ship slept and the corridors fell silent, the shadows moved. A team of Khazar assassins slipped aboard, cloaked in stealth suits that made them almost invisible. Their target was clear, the human bonded to Talira. They crept through the halls without a sound, disabling cameras and sensors. Ethan was in his quarters, reading through an alien history book, when the power flickered. He looked up, frowning. The lights dimmed, and a cold chill ran down his spine. Something wasn't right. He reached for his calm device to call Talira, but before he could activate it, the door burst open and shadowy figures rushed in. They grabbed him fast, covering his mouth, binding his arms. He fought back, kicking wildly, but they were too strong. His shield bracelet activated, but was quickly smashed by one of the attackers. Panic filled his chest. He tried to shout for help, but the attackers were already dragging him out. Talira, sleeping in her own quarters, suddenly awoke with a start. Her bond with Ethan, an unseen connection of energy and emotion, flared with distress. She felt his fear, his panic. Without hesitation, she grabbed her blade and sprinted out, following the pull of their bond. In the dim corridors, she saw signs of struggle, scuff marks, a broken shield bracelet. Her eyes narrowed. She knew immediately, Varrock's assassins. "We're here." She ran faster, her heart pounding not with fear but with rage. No one would take her mate while she lived. the assassins reached the hangar, where a small stealth ship waited. They prepared to load Ethan inside, but suddenly, a blur of blue and silver flashed across the hangar. Talira was there, blade in hand, eyes burning. Without a word, she struck, cutting down the first assassin in one swift motion. The others turned, ready to fight, but Talira was too fast. She moved like a storm, every strike precise and deadly. Ethan, still bound, watched in awe and relief. She was his protector, his shield. Yet one assassin grabbed Ethan, placing a blade at his throat. "Stop!" The assassin hissed, "or the human dies." Talira froze, her blade raised. She breathed hard, her mind racing. The assassin grinned, knowing he had the upper hand until Ethan did the unexpected. Ethan stomped on the assassin's foot, then rammed his head backward, hitting the attacker's face. The assassin stumbled, loosening his grip just enough. Talira didn't hesitate. She threw her blade, and it struck the assassin through the chest. Ethan fell forward, coughing, but alive. Talira rushed to him, cutting his bindings. "You are safe now," she whispered. He looked up, bruised but smiling weakly. "I tried to help," he said. Talira smiled faintly. "You did. My brave husband." Alarms now rang through the ship, security forces arriving too late, but the threat was over. Talira helped Ethan to his feet. "Varric sent them," she said coldly. "This was just the beginning." Ethan nodded, his jaw firm. "Then let's finish this. Let's end it before he tries again." Talira looked at him proudly. "We will. Together." But deep in the shadows of space, Varric smiled when he heard of the failure. "Good," he muttered. "The human is stronger than I thought. Breaking him will be so much more satisfying." Talira stood silently in the command deck of the Aurora's Flame, watching the stars beyond the window. She knew Varric wouldn't stop after the failed kidnapping. The Khazar prince had too much pride, too much rage. He would come again, but next time, it wouldn't be a quiet raid. It would be war. She felt the bond inside her chest, the connection to Ethan, and she knew he was thinking the same. Ethan stood beside her, dressed in light armor that she had insisted he wear. He wasn't a soldier, but he was no longer just a technician. He was her mate, her equal, and he had earned his place by her side. "Captain Rowan has reinforced the ship's defenses," Talira said quietly. "But we both know Varric is bringing more than ships. He's bringing his full army." Ethan looked up at her, determination in his eyes. "Then we hit first," he said. "We can't wait for them to come to us. If we do, people will die. Because of me, because of us." Talira smiled faintly, proud of his courage. "You've grown since the day we bonded, human." Ethan chuckled softly. "I've had a good teacher." Their planning was interrupted by a sudden alert. The comms officer called out, "Unidentified fleet approaching. Khazar warships. They'll be within firing range in 20 minutes. Talira's eyes darkened. "He's here." Ethan clenched his fists. "Then we finish this." Captain Rowan appeared on the deck, his face stern. "We can't outrun them, and we can't fight them head-on in open space. But if we lure them into the asteroid field nearby, we can level the playing field." Talira nodded. "A perfect battleground. We'll lead the defense. Prepare the crew." The plan was set. The Aurora's Flame powered up its engines and turned toward the asteroid field, a dangerous stretch of space filled with massive rocks and hidden dangers. Behind them, Varric's fleet gave chase, hungry for blood. On the Khazar command ship, Varric watched with cold eyes. "Let them run," he said. "They only prolong the inevitable." Within the asteroid field, the Aurora's Flame stopped, hiding behind large rocks. Defense turrets were prepared, and small fighter crafts were launched. Ethan and Talira stood ready in the armory, suiting up. She helped him fasten the last piece of his light armor. "Stay close to me," she warned. "If I fall, you must keep moving." Ethan shook his head. "I'm not leaving you. We fight together. That's what bonding means, right?" Talira paused, then smiled proudly. "Yes, together." The first of Varric's warships entered the asteroid field, their dark hulls slicing through the void. But the rocks made their advantage weaker. Maneuverability was difficult, and visibility low. That's when the Aurora's Flame struck first. Hidden turrets opened fire, and small human and alien fighters ambushed the Khazar ships. Space lit up with explosions. The rocks shielded both sides, turning the battlefield into a deadly maze. Talira led a boarding party, and Ethan went with her, both boarding an enemy ship that had been damaged and drifting. Inside, Carters shook from battle. Causer soldiers waited, and the fighting was brutal. Talira cut down enemies with elegance. And fury, Ethan, using cover and his blaster, supported her, his aim sharper than before. They pushed deeper into the ship, knowing Varrock would be here somewhere. Finally, in the central chamber, Varrock stood waiting, his massive form clad in thick battle armor, his red eyes glowing with hatred. "You've come to me, little human," he sneered. "You should have stayed hidden." Ethan raised his weapon. "You've tried to kill me twice. I'm not running again." Talira stepped forward, blade raised. "This ends now, Varrock." Varrock laughed. "It ends with your mate's corpse at my feet." He drew his massive blade. The edge blackened with energy and charged. Talira met him in combat, blades clashing with sparks and echoes. The duel was fierce, each strike shaking the ground. Varrock was powerful, stronger than before, but Talira was faster and more precise. Ethan stayed back, watching, knowing he'd only get in the way. But when Varrock struck a heavy blow that knocked Talira aside, Ethan didn't hesitate. He grabbed a nearby pipe and slammed it against Varrock's back. It didn't hurt the Khazar prince, but it distracted him. Varrock turned, enraged, and grabbed Ethan by the throat, lifting him off the ground. "You're weak. You should never have touched her," Varrock growled. But Talira, fueled by rage, attacked. She drove her blade deep into Varrock's side. The prince howled in pain, dropping Ethan. She didn't stop. She struck again, piercing his chest. Varrock staggered, gasping. "You chose a human over me." For the first time in weeks, the Aurora's flame sailed through space in peace. The stars ahead were clear, and no enemy ships chased them. The battle with Varrock had ended, and the Khazar fleet had vanished into the dark corners of space. Broken and leaderless, repairs on the ship were underway, and the crew finally rested. Laughter and relief filled the halls, but for Ethan and Talira, the weight of the past days still lingered. They stood together in the observation deck, gazing at the endless night of space. Talira leaned against the window, her silver blue skin glowing softly under the ship's lights. She looked peaceful, but deep in her eyes, there was still caution. Ethan watched her, wondering what she was thinking. "It's over," he said softly. "Varrock is gone. We made it." Talira nodded slowly, but didn't look away from the stars. "For now," she replied. "But peace in the galaxy is like a thin shield. It can break easily." Ethan walked closer. "You're worried more Khazar will come?" She shook her head. "No, without Varrock, they'll scatter. They're cowards without a leader." She turned to face him fully. "But word will spread. A human bonded to a Valkyrie warrior. Word will reach every power in the stars. Some will admire it. Others will see it as a threat." Ethan sighed. "So I'm famous now." "That's not really what I wanted." Talira chuckled lightly. "You've become more than famous. In some eyes, you're a symbol. A human claiming a bond with royalty without even meaning to. Some species will see that as a challenge." Ethan frowned. "Great, more people wanting to kill me." She smiled and stepped closer, resting her forehead against his. "But you're not alone. You have me, and I will always protect you." For a while, they stayed like that, silent, connected by their bond. The warmth between them wasn't just emotional, it was real. The bond they shared allowed them to feel each other's presence, to sense one another's feelings. For Ethan, it was strange but comforting. Even if the galaxy hated him, he knew Talira would never leave his side. Soon after, Captain Rowan called them both to the command deck. "We're picking up a signal." The captain explained. "Not hostile, but odd. It's coming from a nearby planet. A beacon we've never seen before." The signal was weak, ancient, like a recording left by an old civilization. Talira studied the data. "It's Valkyrie, a distress call, but the signature is over 100 years old." Ethan blinked. "You're saying there might be other Valkyrie out there?" Talira's eyes narrowed. "Not just any Valkyrie. The distress signal carries the seal of my ancestors, my bloodline. That changed everything." Ethan could see the seriousness on her face. "You want to go down there, don't you?" She nodded. "I have to. If there are survivors or records of my ancestors, I must find them. Captain Rowan agreed to take the ship into orbit, but warned them, we'll keep the ship ready. To leave, I don't like ancient signals. Sometimes they're traps. Ethan and Talira prepared to descend to the planet together. Before leaving, Ethan tightened the straps of his light armor and looked at Talira. Whatever we find, we face it together, right? She smiled proudly. Together. They landed on the planet's surface, a quiet place covered in ruins and overgrown forests. The air was heavy, but breathable. The beacon led them to an ancient temple carved into a cliff. As they explored, the walls told stories of Valkyrie warriors. Battles fought long before humans even reached the star's dot in the heart of the temple. They found a sealed chamber. A holographic recording activated a projection of a tall Valkyrie. Warlord appeared. Talira stepped forward, her breath caught in her throat. The figure spoke. If you hear this, you are of Valkyrie blood. Our empire has fallen, but our secrets remain. One day, a Valkyrie and an outsider united by bond will awaken the lost strength of our people. Ethan and Talira exchanged glances. Both stunned. That's us, Ethan whispered. Talira's eyes widened. It was foretold. The recording continued. Seek the core of this temple. There, the legacy of the Valkyrie waits. They pressed deeper into the temple, reaching a central chamber where a glowing orb sat on a pedestal. Talira approached, and the orb lit up, scanning her. Then it scanned Ethan. The orb flashed brightly, and then a calm voice said, Bond confirmed. Valkyrie and human united. Access granted. Suddenly, energy swirled around them, and the temple began to power up, its walls glowing with new life. In that moment, Talira and Ethan realized that their bond was not just about love or survival, it was destiny, a connection that was always meant to awaken the past and shape the future. Talira smiled at Ethan, her eyes shining. We were meant to meet, she whispered. Ethan smiled back, his heart full. Looks like I walked into the wrong room and found the right life. They held hands, standing together in the ancient light, ready for whatever the stars held next. Because together, they weren't just bonded, they were unstoppable.